Let me explain for you the following tutorial, the basics, a primer of why Brexit and the European Union referendum, or EU ref, or leave or stay, whatever you want to call it, why that matters, what it should mean to you, what it means to us, what it means to this country, what the mainstream media are not discussing, and what's really behind it. Let me explain with the following. For the longest time, the leaders of the world, those individuals who are the ruling class, those individuals who run the show, the deep state, shadow government, whatever you call the people that run the show, the global elites, have wanted to reconfigure the world, not the way it is now. Obviously, they want to reconfigure it. They want to change it from country to country and jurisdiction to jurisdiction and monetary unit and borders and jurisdictions and all of those things which create just this hodgepodge, this tapestry, this quilt, this mosaic chock-a-block with different rules and no. The leaders of the world, those individuals who run the world, want to unify it in what has been called by everybody, from Kissinger to George Herbert Walker Bush, as the New World Order. And when you hear New World Order, you think, oh God, that's that conspiracy talk. No, it's not. Remember, it's the reconfiguration of the world into a unipolar, maybe one ultimate governing body, or a number of manageable, let's say, unions or territories or kingdoms that eventually will be easier to maintain and control. Because if you think about it just for a second, it makes sense. If you and I ran the world, if you and I were the top 0.0000001% of the world, we're not interested in all of these dissimilarities of jurisdiction and, as I said, monetary systems and the like. We want just one. Well, you can't do this overnight. You have to do it incrementally. So throughout the years, after World War I, after Bretton Woods, there were organizations called the Club of Rome, Bilderberg, Davos. You hear them to a certain extent, but there's a whole group of people, and I want to bring this to your attention. The Club of Rome, which is really a good place to start. I'm looking at my particular group. It's kind of like a round table, the Committee of 300. And I want you to, by the way, do yourself a favor and start using the Google more and look into this. Find out what the Club of Rome is about and who these people are, just to kind of get an idea of all of these meetings and groups and people who have been convening and had convocations throughout the world that you knew nothing about. Okay, so basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to have a series of about 10 kingdoms, if you will, and I'm being extremely perfunctory. But imagine the following: North American, Western Europe, Japan, Australia and South Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, North Africa and the Middle East, main Africa, if you will, or Africa proper, South and Southeast Asia, and centrally planned Asia, which was the Club of Rome language, okay? Now, to start in this reconfiguration, to start was the EU, the European Union. In the European Union, the notion of this was hatched at Bilderberg. Bilderberg is a group of the elites of the elites. Since 1954, at the Hotel Bilderberg, they meet every year, for years secretly and with an absolute denial of any existence of the organization. Then they said, oh, what the heck. Yeah, we exist. And here's our website. And for years, people said, there's no such thing as Bilderberg. What is that? Some kind of a Illuminati, the Knights Templar, some weird group? No, it was there, and we knew it, and other people knew it. And I and others who can just read, especially alternative and parallel media sources. This was hatched, the EU, at Bilderberg, the beta test, the trial run. Let's see how this works. To take 28 countries, combine them together to have one monetary system, the euro, and then work out the kinks, acclimate, condition, habituate the people to having their sovereignty now reapportioned, realigned into this new unit called the European Union. And instead of Vive la France, is Vive l'Europe, or you would have Brussels as the centerpiece, the capital of this union. So let me stop right there. This is brand new, a reconfiguration of the world into these units, okay? These unions, kingdoms, whatever you want to call it. There was discussions in this country of the North American Union that Lou Dobbs talked about. There was talk about having the NAFTA superhighway that ran from Mexico through the U.S. all the way to Canada. No tolls, no jurisdictions. Changing everything. That's why a lot of these supposed conservative types like George W. Bush, and he wasn't a conservative, never really cared about immigration problems. Never really cared about porous borders. Never. Because to the globalist elite, the last thing they want is to have these artificial barriers. Because remember, they want to rule the world. It makes a lot of sense. And if you and I want to rule the world, I don't want to be in charge of Canada, and then you take the southern tip of the United States, and then Jerry over there takes Mexico. No, I want North America and Latin America. That's it. I want to have maybe in one unit, one union, one kingdom, or two. I want to seize as much as power. I mean, you want to be the governor of New York or the mayor of Schenectady? You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain this anymore than there is strength in not numbers but consolidation. Okay. What happened was step number one was the EU with the euro. And what happened? People like Nigel Farage from UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, they said we're tired of being beholden to this outboard, this extraneous capital, Brussels, the EU. We're Britons, and we should run and rule our destiny. How did they were the antithesis of those individuals who want to coalesce and reconfigure the world into these unions. Enter Brexit, British exit. The British are saying we want out of the EU. We want out of the European Union. Now, stop right there. Why this is important. The reason why it's important is that this was the first experiment of a grand nature to see if something as historically proud and geographically obviously contiguous as Europe could be sustained under this new configuration, this new adhesion, so to speak, this new coalescing, new coalition called the European Union. They reported horror story after horror story. Unaccountable representation. No representation. They didn't know who ran their lives. Who's in charge? Who are these people? How do pieces of legislation get proposed, passed? Where is our connection? Where is our control? If the EU fails and Brexit is successful, the leaving, the British exit, if it is successful, this is the death knell, or at least a serious impediment to the new world orders. This new world order, or orders of the world. This was their experiment. This was their chance to show you, see, North America, you're next. Hey, wouldn't you like to join forces? U.S., Canada, and Mexico? You might say, wait, what are you, nuts? That's right, the North American Union. We'll have our own little monetary unit called the Amero. Look it up. Everything that I'm saying has been on the drawing boards forever. This is where the world is going. Putin said it best when the leaders of the world want basically a unipolar world. That's what this is about. So the reason why this has mattered is because of the fact that this was the first time that people had the chance to join forces and to speak en masse about this thing called the New World Order. Keep an eye on it. That's why it's critical. Now comment as you see fit.